Hello, I'm Stephen Watson here at Someday Farm. I was just thinking about something that um, I delight in and experience probably peripherally as a martial arts teacher, and I expect that this would happen with um, a lot of different teachers, a lot of different um, interpersonal networks. Uh, but my perch is that of a teacher. That's kind of the view that I get. And it's easy for me, and I have thought that my job is to be prepared to receive the student or students, effectively convey information, and send them off with homework and wish them well and let them know that they're welcome back. So be ready, teach, um, and return to being ready to re-receive them. And they pay tuition, I give them the stuff. That's the sort of transaction. That's sort of the contract. But this other thing happens, this mycelium, where, these two students who meet in class, perhaps, or maybe they just grow closer in class, maybe they already knew each other, um, get together to practice, or ride share, or lend each other a book on martial arts, or lend each other equipment, or um, edit one another's notes. Those are all kind of martial arts related things that they might do for each other, which is great. And sometimes I have a small role in there, and I'll kind of suggest, like, hey, I know you're working out in that town and my student lives there. Maybe you guys want to connect. I just kind of hint or suggest, or I'll connect them. Like, if they're each in agreement, I can share your phone number with the other person, and then it's up to you. Um, so I think of it as a fairly slight role, but sometimes an important catalyzing role. But then I say, but then, because usually it happens later, but maybe it happens first. Something outside of the martial arts happens, if indeed something can be outside the martial arts. And, I'll hear that this student recommended that student to another student's barber, or another student's early child care, or another person's psychiatrist, or plumber, or whatever. But seeing this network develop, and among like the constellation of students, how many connections they have to one another that are not just to me. It's not just that I'm the hub and there's these spokes that go out to individual students, but there's this network of interconnections that don't relate to me, and maybe they don't relate to me for 3 or 4 layers before they come back to me. That's so important and satisfying and interesting and inspiring and healthful. And it isn't really what I set out to do. I'm trying to teach this, and so I welcome you, then I teach it, and then I send you with homework and let you know you're welcome back. Um, but all these other things happen. And one of the things, sort of one example of this that I like, is when I know that these two students know each other, and sometimes they work out together, or they used to be in a class together or something, and I'll know that one of them is having a tough time. Maybe they're sick, maybe they're post-surgical, maybe they've lost their job, maybe their spouse is ill, whatever. And I'll I will strongly tend to be overly um, considerate of people's privacy. So I won't really tell student B about student A's current issues, but I'll say to student B, like, hey, have you been in touch with student A? And they might say yes or no. Let's say they say no, or it's been a while. I'll say, yeah, I think it might be a good time to reach out. And then they'll usually say, why? What's going on? And I'll say, you know, from a privacy point of view, I don't want to say anything. I'm just saying if you have that sort of relationship or something near to it or something that can be nurtured, this might be a good time for you to invite them to coffee, check in on them, offer to work out, you know, share a video that you were watching about martial arts, whatever it might be. And then I don't really know what happens generally. You know, they assuming they follow up, who knows what happens. But it's this nice way that I enjoy of maybe being a small lever, a small catalyst to help support a student through that network that might be there. Maybe it's a bit dormant too, or not overly strong. And I might do that with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 students during a week about the one student who's, let's say, in crisis, or maybe just, you know, could use some support, some connection. And then it's up to them. Do they want to follow up? Do they want to be connected? Do they want somebody to drop off coffee or whatever it might be? But it's a nice thing that I don't think about at the outset of teaching, and yet it becomes a really wonderful part of the practice, the art, the school, the system. And we think about a martial arts system, we often think about like the curriculum, but I think there's more to the system than just the curriculum. There's the way that those in the school are with one another. You know, the culture. So, Martial Mycelia, what are you doing to promote that? Love.